Oldsmobile Model 6C Standard Runabout, CDO, 1904. Known as the curved dash for obvious reasons, Ransom Eli Olds' gasoline-powered Runabout was first offered for sale in 1901, following a fire at the factory that had destroyed every other prototype. Over 11,000 of the three curved dash models, R, 6C and B, were constructed before production ceased in 1907, making it the first volume-produced American automobile. The Model R Runabout was powered by a single-cylinder, 1.6-liter engine of 114 by 152 bore stroke, mounted horizontally at the rear and producing 4 horsepower at 600 revolutions per minute. Later 6C and B models benefited from a more powerful, 7 horsepower, 1.9-liter engine, and all featured 2-speed transmission and chain final drive. Several improvements to the design were made during the course of production, but the engine's basic layout remained unchanged. 2 mechanically operated overhead valves were set side by side at 90 degrees to the cylinder axis, and the rocker arms had roller ends. An ignition contact breaker was mounted on the end of the camshaft, and sparks provided by a trembler coil. By 1902, the mixer-type carburetor had been replaced by a fluidless design, while a manually adjustable valve in the exhaust system vented exhaust gases via the silencer box or more or less straight to the atmosphere, the 2 settings presumably being intended for town and country use respectively. Cooling water was contained in a reservoir above the engine and circulated by a crankshaft-driven pump, mounted on the side of the chassis. The radiator's copper piping wound its way back and forth beneath the floor. Despite appearances to the contrary, the suspension's leaf springs which linked the front and rear axles were not true half-elliptics like those fitted to the later Model B cars. On the R and 6C models, only the bottom leaf ran from front to rear, so it would be more accurate to describe these as 4-quarter elliptics. Steering was by means of a tiller, a common enough method in the early 1900s, while there was a choice of brakes, one acting on the transmission, the other on the differential. The wheels were unbraked. The curved dash Oldsmobile offered here has an interesting connection to the pioneering automaker who gave Oldsmobile its name. In 1931, when the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry set out to obtain a curved dash Oldsmobile, a curator wrote a letter to Oldsmobile founder Ransom E. Olds asking for information and leads. The venerable pioneer replied with helpful advice and also made an observation about the curved dash models, some of which were already 30 years old at the time. These cars are getting to be quite scarce, and the day is coming when they probably will be quite a curiosity, Olds wrote. In 1932, the museum acquired a curved dash Oldsmobile through the Oldsmobile division of General Motors. That car is the very vehicle offered here. The ancient Oldsmobile remains in fair overall condition and appears to be mostly complete. The body shows signs of age and, as is typical of very old unrestored cars, cracks are evident throughout its wood structure. The paint and upholstery were redone decades ago, and now have a patina consistent with the paintwork. The front fenders are in good condition while the rear fenders are somewhat rough. All 4 fenders appear original. The floor mat has been replaced. Although it has not been started for many years, the single-cylinder, 7-horsepower engine turns and retains its correct carburetor. The 2-speed transmission, plus reverse, appears complete and in good condition. The wood artillery wheels are also in good condition and are fitted with replacement clincher-style tires. Wearing a Selden plate with the number 12,978, and carrying engine number 50,214, this Model 6C dates from the perennially disputed era of late 1904 to early 1905 production. Its Selden plate number being comfortably within the sequences of other known 1904 cars, its engine dates from the cusp of 1905 production. Bonhams has to the best of their ability tried to establish which precise year the car might have been built and will continue to do so with curved dash Oldsmobile Club expert Gary Hoonsbean. More information on this aspect may be available at the time of sale. Regardless of its age, cosmetically this is a highly original and charmingly aged example which would sit well in any collection of preserved automobiles and also among any preservation class.